Welcome back. In this video, we'll be doing one more exercise on parajumbles. We have already done one exercise. So we'll be continuing our discussion with the various types of questions. And in the course of discussing the questions, we'll be discussing some techniques that you can use in your exam while cracking or trying to attempt the parajumble questions. So we'll straight away go to the question number one. I'll give you some time to read the question. Then attempt make an attempt of your own. Then we will discuss. I'll give you some meanings. Disparity, lack of equality, or you can say inequalities, disparity. Thriving, developing classes. Impoverishes, making somebody poor or weaken. That is called impoverish. Impoverish means make someone poor or weaken someone is called impoverish. Congruence, a meeting or a combination. That is congruence. So by reading the statements, you can understand that this paragraph is basically talking about two different kinds of discrimination. One is based on gender and another one is based on caste, and how it is affecting, or how the social inequality is being fostered or developed through these kind of discriminations. And it also talks about the connection of these discriminations to the class, means how gender discrimination is intensified because of class, and how also caste discrimination is intensified because of class. So in simple terms, it says that whenever a person or a woman is facing discrimination based on gender, that becomes more severe when that woman is from a poor background. So poor women are having to face more gender discrimination than rich women. That is the first idea. A second idea is that in the same way, the caste also, poor people belonging to lower caste will have to face more discrimination than people belonging to lower caste who are rich. So when you are rich, the type of discrimination that you face, whether it is on the basis of gender or on the basis of caste, will not be as severe as the type of discrimination that you will face if you are a person of a poor class. This is the meaning or the essence of the passage. Now, how to rearrange the sentences? Once we understand that, we can see that all these statements B, C, D, E are all talking about gender discrimination and how it is connected to class. And only one statement A is talking about caste discrimination and how its connection with class. And here there is a word called similarly. Similarly means in the same way. So it is saying that just like the gender discrimination is connected to class, the caste discrimination is also connected to class. So this is the meaning. So we can very clearly say that only this statement is talking about caste discrimination and its connection with class. So this can be odd man out, or this will form the last sentence. Because why it is a last sentence? Because of the word similarly. Similarly means in the same way. So once we talk about how gender discrimination is connected to class, then we can say similarly caste discrimination also is connected to class. When a person is of a lower caste, it itself is a cause of inequality, but its impact will be more if that person of that family is also poor. So this is the meaning. So that means poor people belonging to lower caste will have to face more discrimination or inequality than rich people belonging to lower caste. This is the what you call the last sentence of the passage. So you can say that A would be the last statement. So you can see that there are two options where A is the last statement. So option 2 and option 4. So these two are the ones we have to focus on. Then once we finalize the last statement, then how to finalize the first statement? What other statements are talking about? It is talking about gender being contributed to social inequality, but it is not acting independently of class. Means gender, even though it contributes to social inequality, it is connected to the class. And then it goes on to describe how it is connected to the class. How it says that when a woman is belonging to a privileged class, she can overcome many barriers of that obstruct women from less thriving classes. Means if a rich woman will not have to face as much discrimination as a poor woman. This is the meaning of option B. Option C, it is the interactive presence of these two kinds. So here the word these is there. These means you have to state two different kinds of deprivations, and it is a combination of these two different kinds of deprivations that massively weakens the women. So the word these is there. So what are the two kinds of deprivation? See, it is given here a combination of class deprivation and gender discrimination. So these are the two kinds of deprivation that is talked about in C. So D would be a statement that should come before C, because D and C is a pair. So because it says that a combination of the class discrimination, gender discrimination can blight means affect the lives of poorer women very severely. So DC is a pair where D says that there are a combination of class deprivation, gender discrimination can affect the poor women very severely, and C says that it is a combination of these two kinds of deprivation, that is being lower class and being female, that weakens the women from the less privileged classes. So DC will be a pair. Then what about B? B talks about belonging to a privileged class can help a woman overcome many barriers that obstruct women from less thriving classes. And A says that gender is certainly contributed to social inequality. So we can say that E should be the first sentence, because E is talking about, E is introducing the subjects by saying that gender is definitely contributing to social inequality, but it is acting in connection with class. Means it does not act independently of class, means it acts in connection with class. And you can say B means when a woman is rich, she can will not be facing the barriers like poor women are facing. So it would be B. After that, the combination of DC, because DC is talking about the two different kind of deprivation that poor women have to face. A combination of class deprivation and gender discrimination can affect them, and when it is combined, it massively weakens women from less privileged classes. So EBDC will be the sequence. After that, we can talk about the concluding sentence A, because A is talking about another form of discrimination which is also affected by class, which is caste discrimination. So EBDCA will be the very clear correct answer in this combination. So when you, the other option possibility is BECDA. B is talking about belonging to a privileged class, then talking about gender being so contributed to social inequality. It does not gel well. First we have to introduce the subject, then we have to talk about how rich women does not have to face that much kind of deprivation. Then we can talk about the combination of factors that affect the poor women adversely. So this is why EBDCA will be better answer. BECDA will not be a good answer. So option 2 will be the answer here. Now go to the, so you can see the rearranged paragraph will be like this. Gender is certainly contributed to social inequality, but it does not act independently of class. Belonging to a privileged class can help a woman overcome. So that is why it is not independent of class. It is definitely connected with class. When a person is from a privileged class, she will not have to face many barriers like a woman of a lower class. and a combination of class discrimination and gender discrimination can affect the lives of poorer women. So first we talk about the rich women, then we talk about the poorer women, how their lives are affected by a combination of factors and the interactive presence of these factors, and they are going to weaken the women from the less privileged classes. And finally we say that similarly in the case of caste also the same theory applies, where people of lower caste, if they are poor, they will have to face more discrimination than people of rich class, because of the people of lower caste who are rich, means people who are rich who are also of lower caste will not have to face as much discrimination as people who are poor and belonging to a lower caste. So that is the final sentence. So once you rearrange the sentences like this, the logic will fall into place. So this is why it is always necessary that once you make a combination, or once you finalize a combination, you have to mentally rearrange the sentences in your mind, so that, and read it properly in your mind, so that you are getting a clear idea whether your rearrangement is a logical arrangement or not. So this technique or this skill you need to master over a period of time, the art of rearranging the sentences in your mind, or reading the sentences in the proper order after you have done the rearrangement. So obviously I'm giving it in a as a separate slide so that you are able to understand it clearly, but once you become accustomed to it, or once you become skillful in this particular aspect, you need not will not need this particular slide. You will be able to do the rearrangement and read according to the rearrangement in your mind itself. Okay, go to the next question. What is the meaning of the word divergence? Difference. So the first statement says that divergence with the West becomes central. So divergence means whatever differences, or the highlight of the theory, or the importance of the theory will be the difference with the Western thoughts. This is the meaning. What is the meaning of the word heterodoxy? Non-conventional belief is called heterodoxy. Unconventional or some kind of unconventional or unorthodox principles are called heterodoxy. Then epistemology. Epistemology means science of knowledge, or the process of acquiring knowledge, how it is different from opinions, how logical points of view are different from blind opinions. That how to differentiate between that, that is called epistemology, or the science of knowledge. All right. So by reading the sentences, you can understand that it is talking about a concept where Western people are more interested in Indian religious writings, or ancient Indian religious writings, which are not secular. From India, a lot of secular writings have emerged. Secular writings means writings which have got no connection with religion, that do not deal with religion, or that do not look at religion as an important thing, is called a secular writing. So there are a lot of secular writings that have originated from ancient India, and that have not been given or too much importance by the Western scholars. They are more interested in the religious literature, which are different from their own thought processes. Why this attraction to the religious literature? Because the Western civilizations consider anything that is different from their points of view as something that is exotic, charming, bizarre. Bizarre means strange or terrifying, something that is scaring them, or simply strange and engaging. So this is the reason why these Western scholars, or the Western people, find the Indian religious texts more attractive to read or understand, because they are completely different from whatever principles or theories that they have been following, and as a result of which they become very exotic and charming, and some and alluring or engaging or attracting to them. So this is the reason why it is engaging to them. And finally it says that when identity is thus defined by contrast, means defined by difference. So the cultural identity of the Indian people are defined by the Westerners as something that is different from their culture. So that is called identity is defined by contrast. So that when identity is defined in such a manner, divergence becomes the most important thing, or divergence means something that is different from their culture becomes the most important thing. So this is how the passage is structured. So you can say that statements B, C, and E are talking about the examples to highlight why or the main point. What is the main point? The Indian religious texts are being considered more interesting or attractive to the Western scholars, and and the secular writings from India, those writings are not having too much following. So this is again followed up in option C. It says that there is a similar neglect of Indian writing on non-religious subjects like mathematics, epistemology, natural science, etc. So any secular writing or any non-religious writing from ancient India, they are not very attractive to the Western scholars. They don't find it too much interesting, whereas the religious literature, they find the religious literature to be interesting. But the only exception is the Kama Sutra. So Kama Sutra is a non-religious writing. So even though it is not a religious writing, Western scholars have readers have managed to cultivate an interest. So B, C, and E are talking about the examples, or they are the statements that highlight the statements that provide the basis for a theory. So that we can say that B, C, and E form a series or a sequence, where B is the first statement. It introduces the idea by saying that Indian religious literature like Bhagavad Gita or the Tantric texts, they are not secular, and secular writings are considered to be Western writings. So because secular writings are similar to the Western writings, so they are considered Western. So they are, and these kind of writings elicit much greater interest. Which kind of writings? The Indian religious literature. So the Indian religious literature elicit means attracts much greater interest in the West than other Indian writings, including India's non-traditional writings. So there are, even though there are some non-traditional writings that have emerged from India, those also are not very much attractive or interesting to the Western scholars. They find only the religious literature to be interesting. So this is a good introductory sentence. Then option C, or the statement C, where it says that this kind of same neglect is there for non-religious subjects from India. So just as non-religious writings from India or secular writings from India are not found to be attractive by the Western scholars, the non-religious subjects also are not found attractive by the Western scholars. So B, C form a pair. Then option E, where the statement E, the only exception being the Kama Sutra. So Kama Sutra, even though it is not a religious writing, but the Westerners are finding it very interesting. So normally Westerners find Indian religious writing to be interesting, the exception being Kama Sutra. So B, C, E will form a pair. Then we talk about the theory. What the reason why the Westerners are finding Indian religious writings to be interesting? Because they are different from their culture, or they are different. They are the Indian civilization, or any civilization that is different from their civilization, it is considered to be bizarre or exotic or charming, and they find it interesting. So this is the theory. This is the reason why Indian religious literature is also found to be interesting by the Western readers. So B, C, E, D will be a pair, or will be a sequence, sorry. Then after that, we can say A, when identity is thus defined. So the word thus is important, because when identity is thus defined means when it is defined as it is given in the statement D. When you define a civilization's identity by the way how it differs from our own beliefs and principles, then that definition is called a definition by contrast. And when there is a definition by contrast, the divergence becomes the most important thing, or what are the differences between our own civilization and other civilization, that difference becomes the most important thing. So this is a concluding sentence. So you can say that first we talk about how Indian religious literature are found to be very interesting by the Westerners, and how they are neglecting secular writings, non-secular writings, non-religious means secular writings and non-religious writings, with the exception of Kama Sutra. So this form the first basis of the theory, then the reason why the in religious writings are found interesting by the Westerners, and then finally the conclusion, where we say that when identity of a civilization is defined by the contrast, the difference between the civilizations becomes the central point. So you can say B, C, E, D, A will be the sequence. So the answer here will be option 4, B, C, E, D, A. So here one technique you can see use is you will be finding that BCE will be a sequence, that you can very easily find that BCE is a sequence. So wherever you find BCE is a sequence, even if you are not sure about the other things, you can go for that option. So here there is only one option where BCE is a sequence, which is option 4. So that is why option 4 will be the answer. So this is one shortcut method or technique that you can use, but always go for the detailed analysis. I would not suggest to go for any blind shortcut techniques. These shortcut techniques can be used as a retest of whether your logic is correct or not. So this is the method you can use to check whether your answer is a correct answer or a wrong answer. So again, for your benefit, I have given you the rearranged paragraph. You can go through the rearranged paragraph to reaffirm or reconfirm that your logic is correct. Indian literature elicits much greater interest in the West than do other Indian writings, and there is a similar neglect just like the Westerners are neglecting the secular writings of India. The same way, other non-religious subjects also, some writings are there from India that also is neglected by the Westerners, and the only exception is the Kama Sutra. Then why? That because they are emphasizing only the differences with the Western culture. So when you emphasize the differences with the Western culture, then those differences become attractive to them, as a result of which they define the civilization by contrast, and that difference becomes the central idea. So this is how the passage has to be restructured, and once you read the restructured passage, you can understand that the sentences follow a very good logic. You can be sure that this is the correct sequence. Now go to the third question. Okay, so this is slightly difficult. You have, even though the sentences are very simple and very short sentences, it is not necessary that this will be easy. When generally candidates have a perception that when the sentences are very long, the reconstruction or the rearrangement will be difficult. Not necessary. Sometimes the sentences could be very long, but you can easily find the logic, whereas sometimes the sentences could be very short, but still the logic will seem very elusive or difficult. But here, what is the basic concept? It is talking about the emergence of modern finance, how modern finance was born. What was the reason? They found that there is a fundamental concept where prices are, even though prices are not predictable, but the mathematical laws of chance, what we call probability can describe their fluctuation. So even the prices may not be predictable, but we can reasonably anticipate the changes in the prices. This is a fundamental concept, and because of this there is a risk is measurable and manageable. So therefore, the word therefore means therefore the risk is measurable and manageable is connected to the option D. Why? Because prices are unpredictable, but the mathematical laws of chance can describe their fluctuations. Since we can describe their fluctuations, the risk can be measured and managed. So we can say that D and C form a sentence pair. So DC will be a sentence pair. So keep that in mind. Then we can say it emerged from the mathematics of chance and statistics. So there is a pronoun called it here. So what emerged from the mathematics of chance and statistics? It could either be the orthodoxy that emerged, or it could be the business schools called modern finance. So it could be modern finance could be the uh, a word that is represented by the pronoun it, or orthodoxy could be the word that is represented by the pronoun it. So two possibilities are there. Which is the better possibility? Read the sentences carefully. This is how what business schools now call modern finance was born. Then it emerged. So when something is getting born means it will emerge from something else. So you can say that EB will be a sentence pair, where E says that this is how what business schools now called modern finance was born. It emerged from the mathematics of chance and statistics. Then we talk about the process of how it developed. The fundamental concept: prices are not predictable, but the mathematical laws of chance can describe their fluctuations. Therefore, the risk is measurable and manageable. So E and B will come before the sentence pair of DC. Then finally you can say this is now orthodoxy, to which I subscribe up to a point. So this is now means this fundamental concept is now a traditional belief. So the word now is very important. Otherwise you might have a feeling that A and E can be substituted with each other. Even if you place A here and E last, what will be the paragraph? This is now orthodoxy, to which I subscribe up to a point. It emerged from the mathematics of chance and statistics. Then the fundamental concept. Then the risk is measurable, and this is how what modern finance called. This is how what business schools call now modern finance was born. That also is a equally good thing, but two factors are there. One is this born and the word emerged. So it is always better to have E as the first sentence in connection with B. Even if, and another reason for that is this is now orthodoxy. So right now this is a traditional belief or a standard belief. So we talk about the emergence of modern finance, how it emerged, what is the principle behind it, and why it is now considered a traditional principle. Orthodoxy means a traditional principle. So here the author is talking about the emergence of modern finance. What were the basic principles? It was the mathematics of chance and statistics, and the fundamental concept is prices are not predictable, but using the mathematical laws of chance and statistics, which we have described previously, you can describe the fluctuations of the prices. Therefore risk is manageable, and this concept is now a traditional concept or a fundamental or a conventional concept, to which I believe up to a point. So the author is not fully believing this concept of modern finance. He says that up to a point I also follow this theory. That is the meaning. So that is why EBDCA would be a better answer than ABDCE. So the two, you can see that BDC is a sequence. B is it emerged from the mathematics of chance, then D the fundamental concept, C the risk is measurable. So BDC sequence is there both in option 2 as well as in option C. The only difference is the A and E are interchanged. So how to find the better answer? I told you two reasons are there. One is the born and emerged. So that is why EB should be a better pair than AB. So and another reason is the word now in the last sentence. So when you say now means finally this is the, so first we talk about the emergence of modern finance, then the process of how it emerged, then the present situation. So this is now a traditional theory and I subscribe to that theory. So that is why EBDCA will be the better answer than A, B, D, C. Other things are not really important. You can ignore that. This is you might take some time here in this particular question. So this question is slightly difficult. So there might be some questions which are so difficult. So here careful reading is necessary. So for the sake of your recollection, I will have rearranged the sentences. This is how what modern finance business schools called now modern finance was born. Many of you will think that the pronoun this here is a misfit. Yes, sometimes some sentences or some paragraphs also instead of using the word this as a pronoun, it is just talking about the process. So it says this is how means the following is the method by which business schools now called modern finance was born. So don't think of this here as a pronoun which is indicating another noun, and to think that this some other sentence should come before this. Some people have this problem, but here you have to read this as a phrase. This is how means it is the following is the method by which modern finance was born. So that is the relevance of this. Then you talk about the method. It emerged from the mathematics of, it means the modern finance emerged from mathematics of chance and statistics. Fundamental concept is prices are not predictable, but mathematical laws of chance can describe the fluctuation, therefore risk is measurable. And this is now a orthodoxy. This is now means this principle. So here the word this is not relating to any particular noun. It is relating to the principle of modern finance, where you are able to predict the prices on the basis of mathematics of chance. So that is now a traditional orthodoxy, means a traditional principle or a conventional theory. So this is now a conventional theory to which I subscribe up to a point. So I also believe this in this theory up to a certain point, not fully, but up to a certain point. So this is the meaning of this particular paragraph. So I hope the three questions and the solutions were useful to you in developing your skill. Go through the video 2-3 times to understand the process clearly and correctly, and through regular practice you also will be able to tackle these kind of questions effectively without too much of a problem. So initially you may have some issues, but after a period of time through regular practice you will be able to do that. Please like, share and subscribe if you have found the content to be useful in your preparations. We will meet again. Thank you. Bye bye.